What if Future Gohan survived? Since Future Gohan had one of the most tragic deaths in the series, and sadly the future timeline is the actual timeline.
A few inches later.
But we're gonna save him today and did not die against the androids. I'll be starting a new series. What if Future Gohan survived? The story will be starting in the age 780, which was the time. It was 13 years after the Z Fighters died from the hands of the androids, and Future Gohan is the last hope with a 14-year-old future Trunks. We'll be starting the story where Trunks is knocked down unconscious, and Future Gohan with one arm goes down to the battlefield to challenge the fearsome duo of the androids 17 and 18.
Eventually.
So Future Gohan finally gets to the battle, and he's going to fight 17 and 18. He decides to go at 17 first and decides to fight them, but then 18 decides to join the fun, and it results to Gohan having to fight both of them at once. This is very serious for Gohan because having to fight both of them will give him a lot more trouble, and he will be have a lot more trouble, and he has a higher chance of dying because he's basically one-armed. He only has one arm. But we're gonna change the story with a little bit where Future Trunks, who is now on the ground, he finally wakes up. He wakes up earlier than expected, where Gohan does not die. Future Trunks flies to the battlefield where he sees Gohan and both androids fighting each other to the death. But then Gohan turns around and sees Trunks behind him and tells Trunks to go hide and get away. But Trunks wants to try to get into the fight, so he decides to just get into the fight. But then Gohan decides to distract the androids by throwing a bunch of ki blasts at the androids, and then just gets away. Since they cannot sense any ki, they have a harder time of sensing where Gohan was, and then they just fly away because they basically gave up. So Future Gohan flies back to Capsule Corp with Trunks, but Gohan is in serious pain after the beating that he took against the androids. So then Bulma has to take care of Gohan and puts him on a bed, while Trunks for the next couple days just sits around and does his own training by himself. Then finally, a couple days later, Gohan finally wakes up, and he finally realizes that he gets up and finally realizes that he is healed. But then they found a senzu bean that Trunks got. Gohan eats it and feels very recovered. Feels much more recovered than the last couple years since he started fighting the androids 13 years ago and to now. They decide to now think about what their decision is now. Should they go challenge the androids on again, or they should find an alternative approach, since the time machine finished quicker in this timeline because Bulma was much more focused. So they decided to do some training for the next 4 years and just let the androids just do their attacking. And Gohan doesn't die.
Many months later.
So it's been 4 years later. I know it's weird. You may think, oh, how come they're just gonna waste those 4 years? Well, they're training to become stronger.
I smell cat.
They now go back in time. They want to go back in time because the time machine has finally been ready. So they're gonna both go back in time 20 years into the past, and to help Goku and with the heart virus and etc. It will be basically Trunks. So they finally get to the timeline. It was when Frieza came back, and Goku is about to arrive back. He sees a very mysterious person, a mysterious man. So okay, basically Trunks basically pretty much does everything that happened in the anime, where he defeats Frieza, slices him in half. Trunks finds Goku and decides to have a word with him to talk about the antidote. This antidote is to heal Goku from the heart virus that happened in Trunks' timeline and back in the future. We're going to make it work, and now they go back in time again to see both the androids again. Trunks, before he said he was going to leave, he has to warn them about 2 androids that are going to attack near South City. So he wants to warn them so the Z Fighters will not, so the story will not go the same as it did in Trunks' future timeline. Gohan is still back in the future timeline waiting for Trunks so they can continue some little training by themselves. And then a couple months later, because they want to go back and find out how they've been doing, so Bulma decides to get ready, time machine ready, and there it is, etc. And Gohan and Trunks finally hop into the time machine because they're both able to fit into the time machine. That's a good thing. And they get to the timeline 20 years into the past, where they see two androids. They see one android head, which that android was android 19. They were like,
wow, you are just the grand central station of disappointment, aren't you?
huh? Hey, Gohan. Yeah, Trunks? What is this head? I have never seen this. Could history be changed by this much? This is so mind-boggling. Trunks, maybe if you didn't go back in time, this may have not happened. But Gohan, this is the point. We needed to go back because we needed to warn them about the androids so everything wouldn't happen the same as it did in our timeline. So then they decide to fly over where they see Dr. Gero and they see Piccolo fighting each other. And they see finally Dr. Gero getting his arm ripped by Piccolo. They were really surprised that they didn't see androids 17 and 18. That could have meant that Trunks was like, wait, Gohan, could it mean that 17 and 18 have not been released yet? So this is Dr. Gero. Yes, this is Trunks. He must have probably turned himself into an android just to have eternal life. That's probably it. There was no way that could be Dr. Gero. And then they let Dr. Gero escape. They found out that it was actually Dr. Gero from Bulma. The whole gang were surprised. That's Dr. Gero? You mean the scientist that makes the androids? I thought he turned himself into an android, the part of the Red Ribbon Army. Bulma said that there was she knows where the lab is. She says that the lab was near the mountains. She says that the mountains is where Dr. Gero's lab is, which is near North City. Vegeta was very furious and yelled at Bulma and decided to just run, go after and chase after Dr. Gero. The rest of the gang decided to stay back. Dr. Gero finally gets to his lab and he lets out androids 17 and 18. A huge mistake that they should have not let. Androids 17 and 18 get out of their hatches and they blow up both Dr. Gero. Android 18 decided to think that we should go find Goku. But Goku was still at home because he's still gonna get the heart virus, but he'll be fine because he has the antidote. Vegeta finally finds the 3 androids near the lab, and he wants to challenge them, all 3 of them at once. But Android 18 thinks that he cannot do it, so she just steps forward and decides to fight the Saiyan Prince. The fight starts off really well, having Vegeta with the upper hand, but then Android 18 revealed that she was toying with Vegeta, and Vegeta was really angry and got super furious and decided to throw punches, but his punches started missing because he was getting tired. Piccolo realized that the androids have unlimited energy. Tien, Yamcha, and Krillin were shocked. They couldn't believe it, that the fact that Piccolo said that, and now they're worried that Vegeta could actually die. Trunks was furious and angry. He wanted to run at Vegeta so badly, but Gohan tells Trunks not to because it's not a very good idea. Trunks still wants to do it, but then Piccolo sees Trunks and says that don't try to help Vegeta. He put this upon himself. All we have to do is just let him get his misery, honestly. Because this is a battle that we cannot win. We're going to have to retreat and train harder if we want to challenge with these androids. Vegeta is now laid on the ground because he got his arm broken. He screams in fear because he finally got a humiliating defeat by the hands of an android. After everything happened, Trunks decides to walk over to the gang, and then they see the future Gohan. Piccolo recognizes Gohan real quickly, and Gohan decides he nearly breaks down, only shedding 1 or 2 tears because one of his first teachers in his life died in his time. Piccolo put his hand on Gohan and said, "I'm sure you tried your best." Remember what I taught you and what your father told you. Gohan listened and became real serious and said, yes, Piccolo, I will. I tried my best. But then Gohan decides to ask Trunks something. Hey Trunks, let me ask you this question. Do you think that if history be messed up if I ask Piccolo something? Trunks said, no, go right ahead. I mean, I defeated Frieza and I gave Goku the antidote. So but it seems that these two androids are in front of us. Future Gohan decides to walk over to Piccolo and asks him if he can use the Earth's Dragon Balls. Piccolo was a little surprised but said sure, but then when he noticed that Gohan doesn't have a left arm, he said, yes, I think you need to, I think if that's gonna be your wish, I hope you do, because man, that looks kind of weird on you, but also badass as well.
No cap!
Thanks, Piccolo. Androids 17 and 18 decide to just walk away, but then they walk right over to Krillin when they notice that Krillin probably said something. They walk over to Krillin, but they said that they're not going to defeat him. All they want is to fight Goku. Future Gohan was in real disbelief. He was very angry and furious. He noticed that the androids are stronger than the androids in the future. He wanted to challenge them, but Trunks says no. To continue the story, Future Gohan and Trunks decide to walk over to the gang and introduces each other. Tien and Yamcha were really surprised to see that was going to be Gohan in the future, but they were also very devastated and they were very disappointed that they were beaten so easy in their time. Meanwhile, they have Gohan and Piccolo. They decide to go up to Kami's lookout at the hyperbolic time chamber, or you want to call it the room of spirit and time, whatever you want to call it. And they release the dragon they release Shinron at the lookout. Future Gohan decides to ask for his arm back. Shinron says that wish could be done, and they do. And Future Gohan now has his arm back. But Piccolo then realized after they finished doing that, he realized that Gohan wasn't that strong as he expected. The future Gohan was a little surprised, but that's true. So then Piccolo decides to think of an offer for Gohan. Piccolo decides to fuse with Kami, and now he's strong enough, he's probably stronger than the androids, so now he can challenge them all. But then he asks Gohan and future Gohan and Trunks if they want to use the room of spirit of time. They said, what is that? Piccolo explained that the room of spirit of time, or the hyperbolic time chamber, is a room where 1 day outside in the outer world is 1 year in the hyperbolic time chamber. They were really shocked and they thought that, really? I can get a lot of training and I can probably get stronger and I can fight these androids myself. Well, if that's the case, then why don't we do it? So then Gohan goes with Trunks because Trunks just recently came. He flew up. All the Z fighters went up to Kami's lookout to see what Gohan and Piccolo were doing because they saw Shinron getting released. But the problem was that he didn't believe that he was strong enough to beat the androids. So then Piccolo told everybody that they should use the hyperbolic time chamber. Piccolo decided to make a plan to beat these androids. He says that future Gohan and Trunks should be going into hyperbolic time chamber first so they can get their training, while everyone else can just stay out and just wait. But then the best thing happened. Gohan and Goku finally recovered from the heart virus, and he has Gohan with him and teleports to the hyperbolic time chamber where everybody is. Goku then says hello to everybody with Gohan, but then Goku walks towards future Gohan and sees that that's the future version of him. He was very proud of his son. He said, "Hi Gohan, how you doing? How's the future been doing for you? I can't believe that you're the future version of my son. So this is what you look like in the future. I'm proud of you, my son. But I'm sorry that things didn't go your way in the timeline. But I'm just happy that you're alive, so that's a good thing. And where's Trunks? Future Gohan said that Trunks is actually Future Trunks is actually behind him. He's just talking with the other Z fighters. They decided to do first Future Gohan and Future Trunks, followed by Goku and Gohan, and then there'll be Vegeta alone, because Vegeta's an alone person, thinks about his pride a lot. Future Gohan only said, Dad, I just want to say that I just don't know, like, how can I get stronger? Like, I just have to always be, I have to be the savior. I just always wanted to be like you, be a hero. Goku just said that, Gohan, don't think that you failed. You tried your best and that's all it matters. You're doing everything you can. I can believe in you. You can do it, son. Everybody then leaves. Kami decides to agree to feud with Piccolo, but except they're gonna keep Piccolo's body. But then Kami then decided to say this one thing that's been keeping him very, very uneasy and with a big sick in his stomach. He has been hearing about this bio-android named Imperfect Cell. This is an android with everybody's cell. He is known as Cell. He has the cells of you, Gohan, Goku, Vegeta, pretty much the cells of everyone, even Frieza. Piccolo was very surprised, but he wanted to challenge him, so that he fuses with Kami, and now we have Piccolo. We now have the unnamed Namekian. Alright, to start the story, Gohan has finally met his father, Goku. But Piccolo interrupted everyone to tell about a new villain named Cell that is stronger than everyone here. They were very shocked, but Piccolo had a very confident face in where he could beat the androids with his current strength. So he told everyone that in order for us to beat the androids and possibly Cell, we are going to have to train. So I want Future Trunks and Vegeta to train together. Vegeta thought it was a fine idea. He said it was an okay idea, but as long as he was able to fight first before Kakarot, that only mattered to him.
Tomorrow.
About one day later, the very next day, the 1 year's training inside the hyperbolic time chamber has now finished. Trunks and Vegeta have now came out of the hyperbolic time chamber, finished with their training, much stronger. They have probably at least quadrupled their strength, maybe even more. They should be able to beat the androids. Meanwhile, the problem was Piccolo wanted to fight Cell, but his strength was not enough and he was beaten very easily. Vegeta finally said that, I'm going to take care of the Cell myself. I will fight him alone. Goku thought Vegeta was crazy, but Vegeta was very confident and was actually going to beat Cell. Vegeta goes down to the battlefield to meet this new ultimate android that everyone seems to fear. Vegeta finally meets Cell and is about to start. He powers up and he has now went to Ascended Super Saiyan. The fight goes pretty well with Vegeta getting the upper hand. Cell can barely lay a hit on Vegeta. It is almost like Vegeta is going to win and the universe will be saved, and then Vegeta can finally get his revenge on Goku. Of course, the story goes for pretty much the same, with Vegeta getting his karma, going to the ground, gets knocked by Perfect Cell. Cell finally announces the Cell Games, a new tournament that he is thinking of 10 days from now. Everyone was very ready and ready to train for the next 10 days. Goku has already done training with the present Gohan, but future Gohan has just been sitting in the outside of the lookout. Future Gohan thought it was a terrible idea that he has not got any training out of this at all, and that Goku hasn't gave that much attention to Future Gohan, but that was not the case. Future Gohan decided to go into the hyperbolic time chamber and train with Piccolo because they wanted it was like teacher, like the pupil and the teacher, of course. But anyway, to continue, Future Gohan is still waiting outside with everybody, with Tien and Yamcha and Krillin and Piccolo and etc. Future Trunks tells Goku about the tournament, but Goku seemed to already know it because he was able to feel Perfect Cell's strength from when they were in the hyperbolic time chamber, when he said that there would be no need to train that much for the next 9 days. I think me and Gohan have got enough power. What? You've lost your mind, Vegeta said. Vegeta was very surprised. Vegeta decides to just go back to the hyperbolic time chamber, while Goku and the two Gohans decide to go down to see Chi-Chi again. But future Gohan actually says that he wants to stay with Piccolo and train with him. Piccolo thought it was a good idea, so Piccolo decides to train with future Gohan, trying to develop more skills and try to get stronger. They have a very interesting conversation. They get much stronger, and they do a lot of sparring matches. And Piccolo was very hard on Gohan, but it does come in handy at the end. At the end of the day, it comes real in handy. After the 9 days has passed, the Cell games have finally came. Goku, Gohan, and the Z Fighters are ready to fight the terrifying ultimate android by the name of Perfect Cell. Goku decides to go first and wants to fight the ultimate android. He goes into a form, his mastered Super Saiyan form, at full power. Goku decides to goes first and fights Cell, but then he feels that once the fight starts to progress and he's getting much slower and Cell is just much quicker than him, he decides to do something very surprising that nobody ever expected. It's your turn now, son. That son was to Gohan, the present Gohan. He said that he has seen a new power, an unhidden power. When Goku was training with Gohan, he said that there was an unhidden power that Gohan displayed, and knew that Gohan was going to be the one that could defeat Cell. Everyone thought he was crazy, but Gohan said sure. So he was down to the battlefield, a pacifist, scared to fight. Nothing wrong with it, honestly.
Oh no!
Very scared to fight, but at the same time, he's ready for the new challenge. Even though Goku just threw him in there, Gohan starts to power up, and Gohan decides to power up and gets the upper hand, but he's not taking it serious, so Cell makes quick work of Gohan, and Gohan gets defeated very easily.
Eventually.
But when everyone thought that he was defeated, Gohan decides to get up and start fighting again. But since Cell believes that he wants to release Gohan's rage, and then finally Gohan's rage unleashes when his loved ones gets hurt by Cell Juniors, and the one that hit him so hard was his father getting hit, and even future Gohan barely even having the opportunity to fight back. Gohan finally unleashes his rage and becomes a Super Saiyan 2, a form beyond the Super Saiyan.
I wanna be a Super Saiyan! I wanna!
Now into Super Saiyan 2. His aura is full of electricity, and his hair changes shape. Cell is still sure that he's going to easily make quick work of Gohan, but Gohan didn't think so. He made very quick work of Cell and was actually about to finish him, but of course Gohan got too cocky and never finished it. And Gohan has to just watch as Cell tries to blow himself up. As now Goku puts his 2 fingers on his forehead, about to do his instant transmission. Goku is now about to sacrifice himself for the fate of the universe, to save Earth for his loved ones, even if it risked his own life. As Gohan just watches his father just leave like that, he screams for his dad in tears.
A few moments later.
And then he saw Cell come back, and he hits future Trunks. Vegeta was very devastated. He saw that his son has just been on the ground, has done everything for him, and all Vegeta did was just stand around and just push him around. Future Gohan saw future Trunks on the ground, coughing out blood. He was so scared. He was angry, about to unleash his strength. Very angry at Cell, so he runs at him. The 2 Gohans decide to run at Cell, and they do a bunch of ki blasts, and then they do a Kamehameha together, and it defeats Cell easily. The Earth has now been saved, thanks to the 2 Gohans and of course the Z Fighters. As the Cell arc has now ended, everybody gets transported to the hyperbolic time chamber, back to Kami's lookout, where everyone has now been healed, and Trunks gets brought back, and Android 18's bomb gets taken out by Krillin. Yep, cyber sex. Terrible, I know.
He really did it. He actually risked every life on the planet just for cyber sex.
Future Gohan and the two Gohans are now the saviors of the universe. Goku couldn't be any more proud. But to conclude something, a couple days later, future Trunks and Gohan decides to go back to their timeline. Everyone says a farewell and they transfer back to the timeline 20 years into the future.
Several bad puns later.
Trunks and Gohan have came back. It is now 20 years into the future now. Gohan and Trunks are now back at Capsule Corp as the city is in ruins, in destruction. As they see Bulma just sitting there having a cup of tea, future Trunks and Gohan appear at the door and say hello Bulma and hello Mom from both of the people. Bulma was happy to see both of them and that they survived, and they've become much stronger. Trunks' strength was a lot more recognizable. They were both about the same strength. They were told all their stories and experiences in the past. Future Gohan was so happy that he got to see his past self and got to meet his father again, Goku, but he ended up killing himself again, sacrificing himself for the fate of the universe. A couple minutes later, the radio goes on and they hear about the androids have attacked another city. Future Gohan powers up in rage and decides to run out as quickly as he can. Trunks decides to follow by, but Bulma says no and says to stay, but Trunks says Trunks resists and says that it will be fine and that they can both beat the androids real easily from their newfound strength. Bulma only said, "Good luck to you two. See ya. Please come back alive." They now go to the battlefield where they see Android 17 and 18. Gohan is now super angry. He is now powered up to a Super Saiyan 2. He should be able to beat the androids now. A new power that he has developed, since the high potential of Gohan in general, he turned into a Super Saiyan 2 and 2v1 the androids, beat them both within a span of less than 5 minutes. History has now been restored. Peace has now been restored, but there was one more thing they needed to do. Some time has passed, and since the androids' defeat, buildings have now been rebuilt. Cities have now been rebuilt. There is now a new villain in the cosmos by the name of Cell. They wanted to defeat Cell real easily while he's still at his first form. Gohan and Trunks decide to do this, but Trunks wants to defeat Cell instead. They proceed to do it. After some time passed, they both become a lot stronger, but Trunks is still not a Super Saiyan 2 yet. But he will eventually. Trunks said, well, not in this timeline. We got much stronger and we will defeat you. The fight goes really well. They go to an open field and they both fight each other. They both fight to the death. But Cell was defeated very easily, overwhelmed. He tried to do a escape and try to do a Kamehameha, but Trunks and Gohan do a mistake go and they defeat them easily. And it's over. History has now been restored. With the future timeline restoring peace by beating the androids and Cell in the future, and peace has finally been restored in the future timeline. Now for the present timeline, we last left out in the Cell arc. In the main timeline with Goku sacrificing himself for the fate of the universe because future Gohan was careless. But at the end, Gohan won. Gohan and future Gohan worked together to do a Kamehameha and get the revenge for their father. And there has peace for now. But Goku did not ask to come back, so at this moment he will probably not come back. Gohan reflects on the Cell arc after he defeated Cell, but he also believes that it's his fault that he got his father killed. After something like that, he still wants to do his studies, but he also wants to become stronger and be like his father, even if he's the strongest and does not like to fight. Gohan thinks of the President Gohan thinks of this and decides to go train with Piccolo and learn some tips and tricks from him. He even wanted to ask Vegeta, but he wasn't so sure if he wanted to do it. But he then just flies to Capsule Corp to see how Vegeta was doing. He just found no motivation to fight, but all he said was to tell Gohan to get stronger and do not get stopped during peaceful times. Now back to the future timeline. Time has been passed since the defeat of Cell. Years passed. And Gohan and Trunks are just sparring with each other, training, getting stronger every single day in case a new threat comes. Deciding to go back to the Capsule Corp, and then outside of the place, there was two very mysterious men who wanted to ask of Gohan and Trunks about something. And the short one introduced himself as Shin, known to be the Kaioshin, or the Supreme Kai, and the tall one was his attendant Kabito. And both Trunks and Gohan were very confused. Why would two people like them want from them? And these questions were to be answered very next. The Kai explains about there's a very terrifying threat coming to Earth and is about to be revived if we don't stop him, and will ruin the universe. This threat was known to be Majin Buu. Now to pace the story a little bit better, enough with the morning announcements, Gohan uses the Z Sword and does not become Ultimate Future Gohan since Deborah and Bobbity attack somewhere and they go to check it out. Gohan and Trunks believe they can take care of this. If they can go Super Saiyan 2, they can easily win this. Future Gohan decides to step forward since he's the last survivor of the old Z fighters. He steps forward, attacks the ship, and takes Deborah out with ease with a Kamehameha and going Super Saiyan 2. And peace has finally been restored in this world. And the resurrection of Majin Buu has failed at this time. For the present timeline, pretty much everything goes the same, with Gohan becoming a lot stronger, and that's pretty much it. And Goku coming back. Now back in the future, years has passed, and they were enjoying some more peace. It was about 8 years later until a city nearby was being blown up. And Trunks and Gohan went to check this out, and in the air, it looked like it was Gohan's father attacking. This looked like Goku, except he was wearing dark black clothing and was actually destroying cities. This was nothing the kind-hearted is saying. These questions were to be determined soon enough. This foe came over to Gohan and Trunks and kicked them away. Gohan was super confused. Why was his father doing this? And Trunks realizes this is not Goku. He may have maybe Saiyan ki, but it also feels like an unexpected ki presence that they've never even felt before. It doesn't even feel like a mortal ki. Well, it isn't Gohan and Trunks, the time loopers. You mortals are vile sinners. No mortals shall mimic the gods. Gohan sees that Goku Black is let his guard open and attacks as fast as he can, but Goku Black catches Gohan's attack with his hand and throws him away to a building. And then he tries doing a Maseko and fails. And Gohan finally gets into this match and tries to hold his own more. Then Trunks steps in and tries to do Maseko and he fails. But it was also revealed that Goku Black has been holding back this entire time. And future Trunks and Gohan have to come up with a better approach because they're not going to win in their condition at the moment. They're going to have to re-strategize. They're going to need to be more strategic. They decide to blast Goku Black away, get distracted, and try to find different ways and run away like a cowed child. This cycle was like this for the next 1 year, and every time this happened, they felt that Goku Black was getting stronger after every single match. Learning their moves with ease, and it seems super strange, and learning their techniques. During this process, they become much stronger, but they're still no match for Goku Black. They decide to get to the battle and they travel to the past. But then when they were doing that, a year later, Bulma died while being attacked by Goku Black. A tragic end for Bulma. They head to the past and they try to get reinforcements, but they were in the bed because they were knocked out. They were unconscious nearly. But Trunks wakes up from his unconsciousness, and he wakes up and he tries and throws a punch at Goku, knowing that this probably was Goku Black. He's probably traumatized by his life experiences, but Goku says that he came back to life and now he's back after the death against. Trunks and Gohan explain about the situation to everyone as they explain about this. Gohan says that there's a threat in their future, and this guy said that his name was Goku. A bigger threat than even Cell, where the androids were even Majin Buu. Vegeta, after hearing this, was the most disappointed in Trunks.
Wow, you are just the grand central station of disappointment, aren't you?
especially if this is his son that they're talking about. He took the coward's retreat out after that heated moment. Anyway, Goku wanted to fight someone, and this time he wanted to pick Future Gohan to see how strong he's become. Future Gohan is actually holding his own against Super Saiyan 3 Goku. It seems they're almost the same strength, except Gohan feels he's one step behind Goku. But at the end, Gohan loses. But when this fight ended, they saw a cat who destroyed the time machine. This was known for Beerus, the god of destruction, to destroy the time machine. He said there was no need for them to travel to this timeline ever again. They already manipulated with time, which not even deities and gods couldn't even do. An angel named Whis explains that since they cannot come back to this timeline, Whis is going to be the one taking them back to the timeline. So he takes them to the timeline and they say their goodbyes. They go to the ruined city and they see Goku Black that's destroying more cities. And when he noticed and looks behind him, he sees the god of destruction and the Kaioshin. He remembers he killed them, but that's more fun for him, so he decides to do a black Kamehameha and tries to kill them. But Beerus wastes no time and grabs Goku Black and Hakkai's him out of existence. A strange ending, but it works. Minutes later, there was another threat that they saw. It was far away. They fly over to a key. It didn't feel like a mortal key. It was like a god, but this was known to be Zamasu. A supreme Kai from Universe 10. This foe was Zamasu. He wanted the same ambitions as Goku Black, to exterminate the human race. But they thought of this as baloney. But Beerus and the others go back to the timeline, and they destroy the Zamasu from their time. In the main timeline, there's no more Zamasu, but in the future, they didn't know what to do when they were hitting them. So now it's really now Gohan and Trunks and versus Zamasu. It didn't work with anything at the attack they tried. They couldn't even damage him one bit. Even when they tried trying to stab him, when Trunks tried stabbing with the sword, it was like he was immortal. But then Zamasu explains that he was immortal and he got his wishes to become immortal and then destroying the Dragon Balls. So then Trunks tries to keep his own, but then they decide, and then they kick Zamasu away and they run. I guess Zamasu can just destroy more cities. But Gohan says that there was a master named Master Roshi, and he has a technique called the Mafuba, the evil containment jar. It could work so they could trap Zamasu into the jar and seal him forever. It may be effective, it may not be the best, but it's the only way they can win. They head to Kame's house and they ask if the still alive master. He was very sure that he wanted to teach this, but it was going to drain a lot of the stamina, so it was a good luck and best wishes to him. It took 2 days for Future Gohan to perfect this. Since this is his world, he's going to do it. And Gohan does this Mafuba and tries to seal Zamasu, and he actually does succeed, and he traps him to the jar. But most of Gohan's stamina has been drained, and he fell to the ground. And the dream of mortals have now come to an end. But honestly, this is the end of our story. There could be another part of the story. It's a very weird ending, but this will work. And thank you, and peace.